Hey everybody, welcome back. We're going to keep talking about grammar today by moving on from parts of speech to talking about the parts of a sentence. Now the most basic parts of a sentence are the subject and the predicate of a sentence. Every sentence has to have both a subject and a predicate. If it doesn't have a subject and a predicate, then it's a sentence fragment. The subject of the sentence is what the sentence is about. And the predicate of the sentence is what the sentence tells us about that subject. So, for example, if we had the sentence, Mr. Kennedy teaches English, Mr. Kennedy is the subject of that sentence, and teaches English is the predicate. Typically, the subject is going to be a noun and words associated with it, and the predicate is going to be a verb and words associated with it. So let's look at a really simple sentence. So let's look right here at this sentence, Okonkwo ate, period. That's a two-word sentence, but it contains both a subject and a predicate, so it's a complete sentence. The subject of that sentence is Okonkwo, and the predicate is ate. Right? Okonkwo here is the subject, ate is the predicate. So even though it's only two words, it contains both the subject and predicate and expresses a complete idea, so that's a complete sentence. You could have a much more complicated sentence, but it can still be broken down into the subject and the predicate. When we start adding more than one word, we can talk about the simple subject and the simple predicate, and then the complete subject and the complete predicate. So take a look at this long sentence here. The mightiest warrior in the entire village ate some delicious yams that he had grown himself. So if we look at the simple subject of this sentence, it's warrior. All right. What's the subject about? Well, it's about a warrior. And if we looked for the simple predicate, it's ate right here. So the simplest way to express this sentence would be warrior ate, period. And that would be a complete sentence. But we have a lot more words. The complete subject of this sentence is the mightiest warrior in the entire village. And the complete predicate is ate some delicious yams that he had grown himself. So we can take every word in that sentence and assign it to either the subject or the predicate. Let's take a look at a different kind of sentence. Okonkwo and Obarika ate yams and talked about how much they enjoyed eating yams. Now this sentence is an example of what we might call a compound subject and a compound predicate. Right? The subject of this sentence is Okonkwo and Obarika. Right? So that's the complete subject. It's a compound subject because there's two different subjects, Okonkwo and Obarika. It's also a compound predicate because Okonkwo and Obarika are doing several things. They ate and they talked. So again, the complete predicate is ate yams and talked about how much they enjoyed eating yams. The complete subject is Okonkwo and Obarika, right? But we could say it's a compound subject, Okonkwo and Obarika, and a compound predicate, ate and talked. So we're going to continue to talk about parts of a sentence and talk about direct and indirect objects. Direct objects are really common. Most sentences have direct objects if they have an action verb. The direct object receives the action of an action verb. So if your subject of your sentence is doing something, the thing that they're doing that thing to is the direct object. You may remember in class we called those transitive verbs, verbs that are doing something to something else. So Mr. Kennedy teaches English. Right? The action verb in that sentence is teaches. English is the direct object. Something less common is an indirect object. An indirect object is indirectly affected by the action of the action verb. Typically, the indirect object gets the direct object. So if we said, Mr. Kennedy teaches the class English, English is still the direct object. Now the class is the indirect object. We use indirect objects a lot in sentences about giving and receiving, right? So my mom gave me a new puppy for Christmas, right? My mom gave a new puppy. The puppy's the direct object. Me, in that sentence, I'm an indirect object. I'm the one who's getting the direct object, in that case, the puppy. So let's look at a couple example sentences. Let's take that really simple sentence from the previous slide, Okonkwo ate, and add a direct object. What did Okonkwo eat? Okonkwo ate yams. All right? Yams is a direct object in that sentence. It's receiving the action. Okay, let's say Obarika played the oboe. Well, what did he play? He played the oboe. Oboe is a direct object in that sentence. Let's say that, where did Okonkwo get those yams from? There's got to be more to this story. Well, let's say that Reverend Smith gave Okonkwo a bunch of yams. Well, we have the action verb gave. What is it that Reverend Smith gave? Well, he gave a bunch of yams. He gave them to Okonkwo. Okonkwo is getting the direct object. So in this sentence, Okonkwo is an indirect object. All right, let's say Reverend Brown told Okonkwo the story of the yams. Right? So Reverend Brown's the simple subject of that sentence. What's he doing? Well, he's telling. Telling is the simple predicate. Tells what? Tells the story of the yams. Right? The story of the yams is the direct object. But he tells it to Okonkwo. Once again, Okonkwo is getting the direct object, so he's an indirect object in that sentence. So we have one more set of concepts to talk about in our discussion of the basic parts of the sentence, and those are what we call subject complements. We get subject complements in sentences with linking verbs. They are the thing that's being linked to the subject by the linking verb. They're called complements because they complete our understanding of the subject. There's two kinds of subject complements. There are what we call predicate nominatives. Predicate nominatives are going to be nouns or pronouns. And they're going to be predicate adjectives, which are going to be adjectives. So in the sentence, Okonkwo is the man, well, that sentence has a linking verb, is, right? What is Okonkwo? He's the man. Okay, man is a noun. Okay, so that is a predicate nominative. Let's look at another sentence. Yams are delicious. Once again, are is a linking verb. It's a form of the verb to be. And what are yams? Well, they're just delicious. Delicious is an adjective, so that's a predicate adjective. And then in this last sentence, Okonkwo's 3 wives and all his children are tired of eating yams and interested in going to McDonald's. Well, there are 2 subject complements in this long, complicated sentence. All right, the verb right here is are. Okay, once again, there's a form of the verb to be that's a linking verb. What are Okonkwo's 3 wives and all his children? Well, they are tired, right? And they are interested. So there are 2 subject complements in this long, detailed sentence, and both of those subject complements are predicate adjectives. So subject complements act like direct objects for a sentence with a linking verb. They answer that question, what? They complete our understanding of the subject.